What's kind of the team's mindset and what's your focus on now that you guys are at this point in the season?
Our focus is on this week. Obviously, two tough games away from home. The mountain trip has always been a difficult trip, in large part because of the two programs that are there, the travel that's involved between games, and this week for us it's a long trip. So, we leave on Tuesday and we get back, I guess, really late on Sunday. So we're going to be there for a while, which for us might be good and get a chance to be together kind of alone and work on what we need to work on to continue to improve.
Did you do anything different after Saturday to kind of recharge your batteries and kind of get things back on track?
Not a whole lot. I think just making sure that we're meeting with a number of our guys and getting them back on track. Confidence is a problem when you lose. I don't know if there's ever been a real confident team and things aren't going well. But the way to get back on track is to get back to the task at hand and make sure that we're working on the things we need to work on, have good days of practice, string consecutive good days together, and then approach the game and be the best that we can be.
For that reason, do you show them the tape from Saturday, or maybe clips of when things were going better for some of these guys, or because sometimes
a little bit of both. I think sometimes showing film just to an individual player is something that really is beneficial, so that they're away from their peers and their group, and it's kind of one-on-one where we can really point out different things. They can see whether it's the good or the bad, and there's always both. We could play really poor as a team, but there's always highlights in those games to show.
As a coach, even though the last two games have been losses, there appears to be multiple positive areas that have occurred in those games, like getting open looks for shooters, etc. It looked like a big emphasis entering this past home stretch was ball distribution and the extra pass. How would you say the team did in those aspects of the game?
Well, two different games. First the Washington game. Again, the story often, lies somewhere in the middle. And what I mean by that is we did have quite a few good possessions, and it resulted in a basket or a foul. There's also quite a few good possessions where it just resulted in a missed opportunity, a missed field goal. We got fouled and went to the line, didn't make them. And then there's, the times when, Washington's defense is very good, or maybe we could have done some things better. But for the most part, that was a game that I would say that, to beat Washington, you have to take advantage of the open opportunities that you get. I do think we created a number of them, but we, on that particular night, weren't able to take advantage of those open opportunities very often. Washington State played us man-to-man, and I think there was some real carryover from the Washington game where, we had a hard time scoring the ball, and that led into the next game. And, Washington State's strategy is, they kind of dared us to shoot. They went under screens, tried to really be physical with Chase Jeter and double-team him when he caught the ball. We could have done a better job helping Chase and getting him the ball. And I think that's also a big emphasis this week, that when we have those opportunities to throw it in there, and we have to do that. We're going to be a better team when the ball can get inside to Ira and Chase, and we can play off of that, get a two-point shot, get fouls, etc.
Is Brandon's knee showing any progress this week?
He is getting better. He is, it's incrementally. It's not like night and day, but I do think he's making progress, which is really a good sign for him. I don't have a timetable on when he'll return. It's going to be sometime down the road, if at all.
Is he going to travel with
Yes.
the team? Okay.
Is he still undergoing any tests, or have you gotten through that, and then he's just like rehabbing or resting at this point, or where would you?
He's rehabbing.
How would you, I'm curious what your take is on the season to date. Obviously, you guys are on a 5-game winning streak, a losing streak, but how would you say the team has played to date, the entire stretch of the season?
I would break our season into maybe three parts at this point. Number one is our non-conference season, in which, going to Maui that early in the year with such a young, new group, playing on the road at Alabama and UConn, certainly the Baylor game at home, and some really hard-fought, tough wins at home. But to be 9-4, one of the things that really helped our team is, although that we battled Ryan Luther's broken finger, we were really a healthy group. And I think, we had some highlights. I would say from an achievement perspective, maybe we had one more game in us if things would have gone just perfect, 10-3 instead of 9-4. But the reality of it is we could have also been 7-6, 6-7. When you think about some of our hard-fought wins, Iowa State being down double digits, and they're a very good team. What we did at UConn, even at home, UC Davis, Utah Valley, those were some tough games for us, but we found the way to win them. Coming back from the break when the Pac-12 started, obviously we got off to a very good start, but I think 2 of those 4 games were what I would call 50-50 games, at Stanford, Utah, at home, in overtime. Ball could have bounced either way 10 times. We were fortunate to win and be 4-0. I think when we got back from Cal, Emmanuel Acott left us, followed by Chase Jeter going down, really for what I would consider almost 4 games. Because although he played against Arizona State, he was really a mirror image of himself. And then Brandon Williams going down, starting with the Arizona State game. Before this season began, our biggest concern would have just been injuries, foul trouble, anything that would hurt our team depth-wise could really decimate us because, the strength isn't our depth. It isn't our 5 guys sitting there on the bench and just next man up, although that's how we do it. I think this year, we're much more fragile in terms of our overall depth and talent. So, when we've gone through these things, and really 3 or 4 things here in a row, it's hurt our team. There's no question about it. Teams go through injuries, though. We're not the only team. Some teams, and our teams of the past, you almost forget who was hurt because we were always able to play through those and still find a way. This year it affects us more, and no doubt we're a better team with Chase Jeter. We're going to be a better team with Brandon Williams. So I think for us it's to be the best team we can be, making sure that we get everybody secure in their current roles and grow and improve and hit our stride here whenever that stride is in the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's this week, maybe it's next week, but working towards being that team for, the final part, which I don't have an answer for, and that's how we're going to finish. And but that's how I see it.
Speaking on the tail of 2 or 3 seasons, did you, after the start of this season, you guys got multiple offensive rebounds the past 2 games?
Mm-hmm.
I think both were in double digits. Did you think this team was going to be capable of that after the start of the season, and how has this team grown as a team due to that?
No, there's 2 things on offense that that I'm pleased with, and I think we're maxing out on our offensive rebound effort. We've gotten big second shots. A big reason we were able to beat Oregon State at home, and that's when Chase got injured there fairly early in the game, is we ended up with 21 second shots. There's been some other games that we've done a really good job. Washington State, for example. Now, some of it is we're missing a lot too, so a couple easy ones we're getting offensive rebounds. But our offensive rebound effort, the percentage we got, I think we're overachieving in that area. And I think the second stat that's been with us almost from start to finish is, we've done a good job taking care of the ball. You can always do better. Washington's a great example. 20 turnovers was too many. But we've also had some games where we finished the game with single digits. And in college basketball, you play a 40-minute game with single-digit turnovers. That's, I think, a stat that a lot of coaches, a lot of teams would love to have.
How many of those missed shots close by are a result of the defense and altering the shot, or just flat out missing? I mean, have you broken it down at how many really were like bunnies that should have gone in?
Quite a few just shots that should have gone in.
Is there a way to combat that, or is that just a confidence thing, maybe spinning it a different way or something?
It's each player that we've had in the past and have on this year's team has strengths and weaknesses. We have some guys right now that probably better beyond the arc than inside the arc. And some of it is, like you said, confidence, just being able to make the shot on a hard drive, play through contact, not worry about the defense or whether you're getting fouled, but score the ball. And we've done that better at times this year than we're doing it right now, for sure.
Are you seeing maybe that they're trying to avoid contact or anticipating the contact, and it's?
No, I think every player is a little bit different from the next. I don't think it's a common problem. A big guy not finishing is different from a guard because, guards are going to drive the ball to the basket where a lot of times a front court player is already there. So, it's different issues for different players, but, shooting's a problem for us. Scoring the ball is a problem for us. I point back to our non-conference season. Although we had our moments, that wasn't a strength even then when we had all of our parts. You take a part or two away, and I think that it's a weakness. It's something that we have to overcome.
I think is that the first time you said Ryan's actually just actually broke that finger, and did it take a while, or because I was wondering if it was a sprain. You weren't saying for a while, and I wondered if you were trying to keep other teams from knowing what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Was he limited for a while? Looking back on that, or?
He played through the injury really from the time that it happened all the way to the end. I don't think Ryan missed a day of practice, but he was limited with what he had to do.
Yeah. So when do you think? I mean, he's been 100% now, or is it still sore a little bit, or?
I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him at practice today.
Your history with Utah suggests that you go up there and beat these guys. I mean, 13-1 in the Pac-12. Is there, when you look back and you've had a number of close games, you guys always seem to pull it out. What would what do you make of that, I guess?
This year's a different year, and this team is a different team, and what's been done in the past. We feel good about a lot of different things. They're not the only team that's taken a few losses to when we've shown up. There's a list of teams, but this year's different. This year's team at Arizona is different. I think Utah is playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. Larry Kostoviak is a terrific coach. Seemed like they hit their stride in L.A. I mean, a monumental comeback win against UCLA, one that people will be talking about for a long time. And watched the USC game, and, they were really in command of that game from start to finish, against a very talented USC team that's difficult to beat at home. They have a couple older players, Cedric Bearfield, that I have amazing respect for, and everybody here should, because he's averaging about 25 a game against us during his career. We've had a hard time stopping him, and he's a player that's gotten better each and every year that he's been at Utah. He's better this year than he was a year ago. A year ago, he was a more complete player than he was in his first year. And that's a credit to Utah's program and also Cedric Bearfield. Parker Van Dyke, again, he's a senior that's, he's got to be one of the best shooters in our game, one of the best shooters in the Pac-12. But they're seniors, they've been through practices and they've been through the ups and downs of a college career, and they're hitting their final bend here. And I think they're playing with a lot of pride. They have a couple young players, Timmy Allen and Donnie Tillman, that I really like a lot. Those guys know their role. They do their job. Again, they fit into Utah's system very well. And, I think Utah's offensive numbers, they jumped off the charts the first time we played them. And here we are, a month later, and they jump off the charts again. I mean, they just can really shoot the three. They can score. They're efficient. And they have each of their guys really locked into a good role. Jace Johnson, front court player, again, somebody who's gotten better each year that he's been at Utah. I think he's really playing maybe the best basketball of his career right now. And he's big and physical, 7 feet tall, and got to be careful that he doesn't get our big guys in foul trouble. So, Utah, they have a good team, and they're 7-4 in conference play. And, it's going to be a tough game no matter who goes to Utah to play. But what's been in the past is in the past, This year's a completely different objective.
Is there anything else besides those things you mentioned that Utah is doing differently when you watch videos of them now, as opposed to when you played them a month ago?
They're just better at their overall game. And I think they have some players right now that are really hitting their stride. Timmy Allen, last time we played him as a very good freshman. You could tell he was going to be a big part of their team, but right now he's their second leading scorer. So I think he's emerged since our last game.
With this being the first team that you're playing for the second time, do you put more emphasis on the tape of the game that you played against them or the more recent games that they've played against others?
A little bit of both, but especially the first game because, we play man-to-man and, they like to run certain things offensively against us. Watching SC and UCLA, it's quite a bit of zone, so that's not really applicable. But, we try to do a little bit of both, but we rely a lot on game one for sure.
You have to kind of adjust it because you don't have the same personnel since Brandon won't be there, kind of erase those plays?
Yes.
How do you strike you as odd that not just you guys, but also some other teams, Utah, also losing at home but winning on the road this year? They lost a couple at home, then they go down to LA and sweep. You guys losing a couple at home, normally you don't. And I know around the league that's happened a couple places too.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer for, the rest of the teams in our league. I think Oregon and Oregon State are both good teams, and, maybe Utah didn't play as well. But what they did is what everybody wants to do, and that's bounce back. And they went to arguably the hardest trip in our conference, and they swept the LA schools, which says a lot. I'm sure they're going to bounce back here at home and return back to Salt Lake with a lot of confidence.
How do you think Justin Coleman has handled playing more minutes since Brandon got hurt?
I think I've been pretty steady in my comments about Justin almost from the onset, as far back as the Red-Blue game. He's one of our team's captains. I think he's earned that, and he's done an admirable job leading our team as best he can under some tough circumstances. I don't know where we would be if he didn't choose to come to Arizona in April or May, whenever he did. We're really fortunate to have him. I mean, he's shooting 39% from three, 80% from the line, right below 10 points a game, about a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. A great kid. Played with a dislocated shoulder. Has practiced hard every day. And I think has really enjoyed his time here in our program, which says a lot about him. But he's a pleasure to be around. And down the stretch, he's going to be a big part of how we finish.
His scoring has gone way up since Brandon has been out. I mean, you had to tell him to be more aggressive.
Yeah, he has no choice. Even if he doesn't want to be aggressive, he has to because there's only so many guards that we have on our team. And with him playing as many minutes, we need him to take the open shots. And he's always gotten fouled, really, from day one. And that's also a gift where putting fouls on the other team and him getting to the line some.
Well, what about anything about Utah, the environment there? I mean, I remember last year you said the fans were kind of nasty towards you guys, but also they're kind of on top of you, maybe more so than a lot of schools. And is it, but also you guys have played well there. I mean, what's the key to doing that there?
Like I said, this year's this year. In the past is we had different personnel, different circumstances, different seasons. So we haven't shown up yet. They have a passionate crowd that follows their team, and they support the Utes.
When you talk about confidence, I was wondering, just looking at the numbers. I mean, Brandon Randolph seems to be down particularly, and I'm wondering because he seems to be that rhythm guy where he's really shown confidence at time and hit a bunch in a row, and microwave or whatever you want to call it. I mean, is there anything with him particularly that you'd like to see or that you're working with him on, or?
We're talking to him. Brandon is a very good player. He's our leading scorer still through 24 games. And, his shooting percentage from three is down. But I think number one is, is his process good and how he's going about working on his shooting. We've talked to him about that. He's a very hard worker. Being consistent with how he shoots the ball. That's something that all young players learn. Alonzo Trier is a great example. Alonzo, when he came to Arizona, was streaky. He was a driver, a capable shooter, but, he worked so hard on his shooting, and then he learned how to work hard and be smart on the way he worked on his shooting, where he had a routine, His footwork was identical on every shot that he shot, and he didn't deviate from it, and over time that wins out. And I think Brandon's in that same process of learning how important it is to shoot the ball one way, to work before and after practice. And then shot selection's big too. You know, the more wide open shots you take, the higher percentage that you can make. And, you know, pointing out, you forget how young of a guy he is in the experience level playing against these different defenses. This is his first time through. And, you know, I think every time that you face different types of defenses and you get through conference seasons, you know, you learn and you grow. And I think he's very much in that learning and growing aspect. You know, it's different to come off the bench on a talented team than be a starter, be the person that, you know, plays the most minutes, shoots the most shots. You know, you're kind of the hunted on the other team's scouting report, and they're going to go to great lengths to make things hard for you. So that's also something that he's learning, and we're trying to help him with.
Are you steering him down the same path as Alonzo, or is he just kind of taking it upon himself?
No, I use Alonzo as an example just because Alonzo's a perimeter player that really improved as a shooter. And, you know, obviously Brandon is a perimeter player, but, you know, he's his own self. I mean, it's really unfair to compare.
As a coach, how does it make you feel knowing Parker got picked up yesterday or 2 days ago to a G League team and Raleigh got called up?
Well, you know, we're always proud of our former players, and not just guys that I've recruited or coached. I mean, we're proud of the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they're part of the history and the tradition of Arizona basketball, and it's part of the reason why, you know, the pageantry is what it is in McHale Center on game day and game night, because of all the great teams and players that have been here in the past. You know, Kadeem Allen, I think, had a big day for the New York Knicks last week or a couple days ago, which, you know, we're proud of Kadeem. So we want all those guys to do well. We're fortunate that we have a lot of those guys in the NBA, and hopefully that'll continue.
And do they ever call you or call some of the teammates to give them advice or help out at any points?
Yes and no. They also have their own life. You know, they move on, but I think that each of those guys always checks in with Arizona, making sure we're all right and watching games, and certainly they want us to do well.
Parker was at the SC game, I think I saw him, but did he, I was just curious your thoughts on him, and because he had that kind of strange injury and went to the Raptors team, and they said he wasn't healthy, got cut. I mean, has it been, I don't know if you talked to him, has it been frustrating for him, or how's he doing?
You know, I mean, Parker, number one, has his degree. I mean, that's a big deal. And he had a very, very good career, as evidenced by what is he, the second all-time winningest player in school history. And, you know, it's getting healthy. You're right. All these guys have to be healthy, but he's going to do well in whatever he does, whether it's coaching, playing overseas, playing in the G League. I don't know if there's a team that wouldn't love to have him, not just because of the way he plays the game, but he's such a great kid and really solid person.
I just noticed the baskets out there. There was like barriers around the key out there. Was that you guys, or do you do that, or is that a way?
I think they painted the lane because the paint might have gotten shipped.
I wonder if it was some kind of practice thing.
Anything else? Thanks, everyone.